Stop for a moment. Before you book your next flight or even leave for the airport, there is a federal travel rule already being enforced that is catching thousands of passengers completely off guard. Every week, travelers arrive at U.S. airports with confirmed tickets, packed bags, and valid plans, and still get stopped before they ever reach the gate. This has nothing to do with visas, security alerts, or airline overbooking. It comes down to a single requirement many people still don't realize now applies to them. And here's the part that matters most. The people being affected are not careless travelers. They're following the same rules they've followed for years. Today, I want to make sure that doesn't happen to you. Whether you're flying for work, traveling to see family, or helping an older parent navigate air travel, what you're about to hear can save you money, time, and a great deal of stress at the airport. Welcome back to Flight Decoder, the channel where we explain U.S. travel rules, documentation changes, and passenger rights in clear, simple language. No panic, no rumors, no misinformation. If you're new here, this channel is focused on helping everyday travelers move through U.S. airports with confidence by understanding the rules that are already being enforced, not proposed, not rumored, but active right now, and how those rules affect real people. Today's video is essential for anyone planning to fly within the United States or for anyone helping a family member travel. We're covering 3 critical areas that are directly impacting passengers at airports across the country. First, the Real ID requirement, which is now fully enforced nationwide. Second, TSA screening accommodations that many travelers, especially seniors, don't realize they're entitled to request. And third, airline assistance rights related to medical needs and mobility support that can dramatically change your airport experience if you know how to use them. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to check before leaving home, what to ask for at the airport, and how to avoid being delayed or denied boarding over something completely preventable.
Real ID enforcement, what changed and why it matters now. The Real ID Act itself is not new. It became law back in 2005 as part of broader national security reforms. What confused travelers for years were repeated delays, extensions, and shifting deadlines. That uncertainty is now over. Enforcement officially began on May 7, 2025, and unlike previous deadlines, this one is active and being applied every day at airports. As of now, you must present Real ID compliant identification to board a domestic flight within the United States. TSA officers are enforcing this requirement at security checkpoints nationwide. This is not a trial period, and it is not a warning phase. Age does not change the rule. Whether you are flying at 25 or at 75, traveling for business or visiting family, the same identification standard applies. There are no senior exemptions, no grandfather clauses, and no exceptions based on how long you've been flying. Here's the part that surprises many travelers. A large number of people are already compliant and don't realize it. A valid U.S. passport or U.S. passport card is always accepted for domestic air travel. If you already carry a passport when you fly, nothing needs to change. In addition, some states issue enhanced driver's licenses that automatically meet federal Real ID standards. These are currently offered in states including New York, Michigan, Minnesota, Washington, and Vermont. If you specifically applied for an enhanced license and paid the additional fee, you are already covered. For most travelers, the deciding factor is their regular driver's license or state-issued ID. Take a moment to look at it closely. If there is a star symbol in the upper corner, typically gold or black, your ID is Real ID compliant. If your license is marked not for federal identification or does not display a star at all, it does not meet the requirement. In that situation, TSA officers are legally allowed to deny you access to the security checkpoint. If your ID is not compliant, there is no need to panic, but action is required. You'll need to apply for a Real ID compliant license through your state's DMV. While requirements vary slightly by state, most DMVs request proof of identity, such as an original or certified birth certificate or passport, proof of your social security number, and 2 documents showing your current address, such as utility bills or bank statements. The process has become easier in many states. Applications can often be started online, and appointments can be scheduled in advance to reduce waiting time. Fees are usually comparable to a standard license renewal, and processing times range from same-day issuance in some states to a few weeks by mail. Some states also issue temporary paper credentials that are accepted for air travel while the permanent card is being processed. The most important takeaway is simple. Do not wait until the week of your flight to check your ID. A quick review today can prevent a denied boarding tomorrow.
TSA screening accommodations, what you're entitled to ask for. Now let's talk about TSA screening, because this is where many travelers start to feel rushed, uncomfortable, or overwhelmed, especially when lines are long and instructions feel unclear. What most people don't realize is that TSA has formal accommodations in place to make screening safer and easier, particularly for seniors and travelers with medical needs. If you are 75 years old or older, you are generally allowed to keep your shoes on during screening, and you may also keep on light outerwear such as a thin jacket. This accommodation exists to reduce fall risk and physical strain, and no special paperwork is required to request it. If an alarm is triggered, TSA may still perform additional screening, but you begin the process with this accommodation in place. Final screening decisions always remain at the officer's discretion, but this is a standard starting point for older travelers. For passengers who use medical devices, including pacemakers, insulin pumps, cochlear implants, or neurostimulators, it's important to inform TSA officers before screening begins. You can request alternative screening rather than passing through scanners that could interfere with certain devices. Carrying a medical device card can be helpful for clarity, but it's not required. Clear communication at the start of screening makes the process smoother for everyone. Prescription medications are allowed in any necessary quantity, including liquids that exceed the standard 3.4-ounce limit. Liquid medications are exempt from normal liquid restrictions, but they must be declared during screening. Keeping medications in original prescription bottles is recommended for clarity, although pill organizers are permitted. The most important rule here is transparency. Answer questions calmly and honestly, and never place essential medications in checked luggage. For travelers who fly even a few times a year, TSA PreCheck can significantly reduce physical stress during screening. The program costs $78 for 5 years and allows you to keep your shoes on, leave laptops and compliant liquids in your bag, and use shorter security lanes. It's not required and it's not for everyone, but many travelers find it helpful. Some credit cards reimburse the full fee, which can make the program effectively free. There is also TSA Cares, a free assistance program for travelers with disabilities or medical conditions. By contacting TSA Cares at least 72 hours before your flight, you can arrange personalized support at the security checkpoint. This service is designed to reduce confusion and anxiety during screening and is available at no additional cost. Under federal law, airlines are required to accommodate passengers with disabilities. Mobility aids such as wheelchairs, walkers, canes, and crutches are transported free of charge and do not count toward baggage limits. Wheelchair assistance can be requested when booking your ticket, during check-in, or at the airport itself. The service is free, and while tipping attendants is optional, it is never required. For travelers who require oxygen, personal oxygen tanks are not permitted on aircraft. However, FAA-approved portable oxygen concentrators are allowed with advanced coordination and airline approval. CPAP machines and other necessary medical devices are permitted in the cabin and do not count as carry-on baggage. It's also important to understand this clearly. Airlines cannot deny boarding based on age alone. Being 70, 80, or even 90 years old does not require a doctor's note. Medical clearance is only requested if there is a visible or stated safety concern, never simply because of age. If you experience problems related to disability accommodations, you have the legal right to request a complaints resolution official immediately. Practical preparation makes a real difference. Arrive early if you need assistance. Choose aisle seats for easier movement. Request pre-boarding if you need extra time. Bring snacks, stay hydrated, and keep essential medical information easy to access. When you prepare ahead of time, the airport experience becomes far less stressful. Check your identification early and confirm it meets real ID requirements, or bring your passport. Use TSA accommodations you are entitled to, and don't hesitate to ask for assistance when you need it. One more thing many travelers don't expect at the airport. Here's an important detail many travelers only learn the hard way. Passing TSA screening does not automatically guarantee that you will board your flight. Airlines conduct their own document and compliance checks at the gate, and those checks can happen right up until boarding begins. If an issue is discovered at that stage, such as an identification discrepancy, a missing assistance request in the system, or carry-on limits being enforced more strictly, boarding can still be delayed or denied. This catches people off guard because they assume security is the final checkpoint. It isn't. Gate agents are required to verify that everything on your reservation matches airline and federal requirements. That's why it's important to stay attentive through the entire boarding process, not just at TSA. Remaining nearby, listening for announcements, and responding quickly if your name is called can prevent small issues from turning into missed flights. Small name mismatches that can cause major delays. Another problem quietly affecting travelers is name mismatches between identification and boarding passes. These don't have to be major errors. Missing middle names, shortened first names, hyphenated last names, or spelling differences can all trigger additional checks. Under current enforcement standards, names should match as closely as possible, especially for domestic flights operating under Real ID requirements. If you notice any difference, even if it seems minor, request a correction as early as possible. Airlines can often fix name issues before the day of travel, but options become limited once you arrive at the airport. Taking care of this detail ahead of time can save you from delays, manual verification, or uncomfortable conversations at the gate.
Confirm assistance requests. Don't assume the system did. When you request wheelchair assistance or medical support, it's important to confirm that the request is properly entered into your reservation. Verbal requests made at the airport or during busy check-in periods can sometimes be missed or incorrectly logged. When assistance notes are missing, travelers may experience delays at security, confusion during boarding, or lack of support during connections. Whenever possible, verify assistance requests at booking, during online check-in, or with an agent before heading to security. If you have a connecting flight, reconfirm assistance after landing, as support requests do not always transfer automatically between flights. Taking a few extra minutes to confirm these details can make the entire journey far smoother and far less stressful. Request airline assistance as early as possible, and don't hesitate to use the support options you are legally entitled to. These policies exist to protect travelers, not to inconvenience them. Knowing your rights ahead of time allows you to move through the airport with confidence instead of uncertainty. Air travel should be accessible, respectful, and dignified for everyone, regardless of age or physical needs. If this video helped you, please take a moment to give it a thumbs up. It helps this information reach more travelers who may not realize these rules are already being enforced. Share this video with family members or friends who travel, especially older adults who may be affected without knowing it. For clear, reliable U.S. travel updates you can actually use, subscribe to Flight Decoder and turn on notifications so you don't miss important changes that affect your next trip. If you have questions, concerns, or personal experiences related to air travel, leave them in the comments. I read every one, and your input helps shape future videos. Thank you for watching. Travel safe, and I'll see you in the next update.